Okay, so the audio is going to be horrible, but it kind of feels appropriate to do the final vlog while I'm in the Vegas Harry Reid Airport. Me and my friend the Panda here, reporting on the last day of the World Series of Board Gaming. Actually, let me start off with the end of my 3.5 day. So I played City of the Great Machine, which we didn't even finish all the way through because it was not very well liked by our group. It's not so good on the strategy side of like board gaming, but if you're really into like something that's maybe a little bit more like story and like a little bit more like a random, you might have fun with it for like the theme structure itself. I'm not going to go too much into it because it's not too valuable, but thought that was interesting. After that, we learned Rock Hard 1977, which is fun. I don't think it's a game I need to own because I don't think it's like terribly deep, but the arc of playing that game was really cool, and it's very, very accessible for new players. So if you are trying to convert people into board gamers, I would actually really recommend checking this game out. The production value on it is like nuts for its price point, I think. So definitely will recommend checking that out. And then did dinner, hung out until we pulled the games. If you didn't watch any of the WSBG stuff about pulling the games or just don't know how it works, briefly, what happens is of the 16 ring winners, they pull them randomly into 4 different games. So 16 ring winners, 4 games, 4 seats. However, JC Tao and I had 2 rings each from this year. So we're pulled into 2 different games and get to choose which game that we're seated at. The draws for the semifinal games were absolutely nuts for me. Arc Nova, Wingspan, Raw, and Terraforming Mars are the 4 games that are pulled. All games that I'm pretty good at, honestly. The only thing that would have been better is Great Western Trail because that is my best game. But other than that, like these games are like, skill level games for me in like a rank order 16, like 4, 6, 8, 10 or something like that. Like really, really lucky pull in terms of what's going to happen. I got seated at either Wingspan or Terraforming Mars. I relatively and maybe even better at Wingspan than Terraforming Mars, but because they play with the Power Birds, I didn't want to like lose a game to like just being really salty about someone getting a Killdeer or a Raven right at the beginning of the game and getting to make a game plan around it. So I guess conversely I could have like maybe lucked into one and like ran away with something, but my understanding actually someone did actually get a Raven in the semifinals that actually didn't win that game. But I think that player was like pretty new to Wingspan from my understanding. So I decided I was going to play Terraforming Mars, keep the Terraforming Mars seat. So played it a 4-player game. Other people get lucked into a 3-player game because I choose to switch my game, which is just kind of a weird part of the seat selection format. 2 players on the slightly more inexperienced side, myself and another player on the more experienced side. So feeling pretty good going into it. I don't need to do a lot of practice the night before. I got to go to sleep by, like an hour after they did this announcement and, did a solid 5 or 6 hours of sleep to wake up for the game this morning. If you haven't already heard, I might as well just like cut to the spoiler. I don't end up winning the semifinal. It's, well, I guess I'll talk about my emotional state afterwards. Let's talk about the like game in a minute. So, I drew Vitor, Foblog, and Thorgate as my picks, which I think are not great picks. Some people love Vitor. I really hate playing Vitor because I think you are absolutely at the whim of the deck. And Thorgate I think is like one of the worst corporations. And Foblog is only really good if you have the cards to like support it out by like a really quick start at the beginning, which I did not have at all in the draft, but was on the lookout for. So instead, I ended up taking Vitor. The good thing that I had going for me was that I had a pretty nutty Terraforming Ganymede Colony, and the Jovian Colonist Camp or whatever it is, as starting 3 Jovians. And I was like, this is great. I'll maybe get 1 or 2 other Jovians. I'm playing Vitor, so I'll get some like rebates on these guys, and we'll be able to score a ton of points in the end game. Problem was I didn't really get to draft a lot in terms of infrastructure, and I was kind of hoping that the players of this game would be focusing on terraforming, and I just sort of would terraform a little bit, drop some endgame stuff, and then that'd be the end of it. I don't need essentially a crazy engine because I'm not playing a lot of cards. I'm playing a few really high impact cards. And then in the preludes, I drafted Business Corporation and Huge Asteroid, cost me $11 at the beginning, but I don't have cards that I'm looking to play because I didn't have a strong starting draft. So this gives me $9 of money income at the beginning, which is essentially like its own sort of like structural generation. That seems like a really good start. The problem is that in the next couple of generations, I don't really get anything that changes my game state. In turn 2, I literally just played a greenery to score $6 rebate on lakes because there was kind of like a whole elbow that I could play around and like do a terraforming point where other players are actually like playing out infrastructure and stuff like that. The player to my left got past a lot of research cards. Some of them were from me because I was taking a couple of these Jovian tags, but also they also came from the other side of the draft. And then the top half of the deck apparently just coughed up research cards because across our game by turn 5, I don't think I'm exaggerating when I said that there were like a dozen research icons in play amongst the other 3 players. I didn't even play a single one. And like maybe I was supposed to hate draft a little bit more, but I feel like if I hate draft, it doesn't improve my... I take it back. I'm not supposed to hate draft more because it doesn't improve my game state at all, and I would end up losing anyway. So it's not... I don't think that I like lost in the drafting, even though the draft... I maybe could have made different choices in the draft, like of course with like perfect 2020 vision, but it doesn't make me win the game, right? I'm sure there's some other mistakes I ended up making there. But yeah, the player to my left, James, it was a wonderful, lovely opponent. I actually had played him in Arnak earlier in the week. Very, very happy for him. But of course, it's pretty sad for myself to not be able to win. He wins 70, 68 to Damon on my player on my right. And I had 63 to Dante's 62. Another kind of part in the game is I got hit with an energy power consortium that made me lose an energy earlier in the game that prevented me from playing the Domed Crater City, which is like not that amazing of a card, but I thought it was like maybe a little bit better for Vitor. I had a cheap like energy to put into play, and I could have not played the energy. I could have not played the energy prod. Probably should have not played the energy prod. That's a lesson that I learned. That is definitely a mistake. But I was trying to get little edges that I could because I felt like I was behind, and leaving value on the table for safety feels like a mistake when I felt like I was behind. So I'm actually not even sure that I fully hate that line of play for me. The one thing that was really lucky for me is that I got an Earth Catapult round 2, but the problem was I didn't get a lot of other cards to support it. Like I don't think I even played enough cards to pay back the Earth Catapult over the course of the game. Maybe I did. Maybe I'm over-exaggerating a little bit, but like I really didn't play that many cards, and I would have loved to because of the Earth Catapult and the fact that Vitor wants to play cards. Just didn't get the stuff that I needed. I don't think that my opponents were like hate drafting me. I do think that they were focusing on their plans. I could be wrong, but I just it happened that way. It's why I hate Vitor, Vitor, whatever it is. And yeah, it broke poorly that way. Maybe I'm just worse at Terraforming Mars than I thought I was. That's entirely possible too. So yeah, I mean, a cool event. A sick week. I can't express how incredibly lucky I am to have performed at the consistency level. In the 12 games that I've played over 3 years, I've made it to 8 final tables. I've made it out of 11 of the 12 first rounds. Terraforming Mars yesterday, the normal game, being the only time that I've lost in a first round. And I've won 4 rings. I'm like lifetime world record holder of number of rings claimed. And that's absolutely incredible. It's nuts. I've claimed them in 4 different events. Like, there are people who are very good at defending their events. I'm clearly not one of those people, but I have the diversity of board gaming, which is the thing that I thought was my advantage, and have always thought is the thing that is my advantage over other gamers, even before this event existed. I like picking up new stuff. I like diving into it. That's why I do this entire channel. And it's exciting. It's exciting to learn new games and new strategies and figure things out. And going deep is good. Going deep is fun. But going wide is really what I like to do. So I'm extremely proud of how I perform those things. But it is definitely a difficult feeling to like get so close, feel like I'm on a hot streak, playing at my absolute apex, and then like fall short anyway. You can't feel bad for the guy that gets to the Super Bowl, but like it sucks to not win the Super Bowl or whatever, right? Like people tend to not remember those details quite as much. Now, that being said, you know, people are going to remember the performance that I put up this year. So I've got nothing to like be ashamed of in terms of that. I'm getting pinged that I need to line up to board shortly. So let me wrap this up by saying that while that is difficult, while that was a bummer, I am super proud of how well I did perform this year. I'm super proud, or I'm super happy at how lucky I was to make all these things work. And then to cap things off, really more importantly than anything else, my heart is so full of the number of people that interacted with me. It's like a movie. The moment I was walking out of the room to go to the airport, someone walked up to me and says, "My name's Nick. I'm at this event because of your channel." And it completely made my day. Like, this is, that's like incredible. Like, the kind things that people said last year, said this year about generating strategy space is really great. Freaking Paula Deming, I think was her last name, who's a genuine real content creator, talked about how she liked my content, which was mind-boggling and really amazing and super flattering. I had one of the publishers from Frixel, one of the Frixelis brothers, approached me to talk about his game, and I'll put something about, he's gonna send me a copy and we're gonna play it on the channel and I'll show that to you guys soon. And it's really, really incredible. My heart is so full. I love this hobby so much. A couple of people asked me about, they hope I'm going to keep making content. It's coming, y'all, for sure. You'll hear my comments. You'll hear my thoughts. Thanks for watching. Hope you had a great event as well. I'll see you next year.